Hello there, everyone. This is everyone's favorite jack of all trades with the foul mouth, Commodore Urban. And I had just got done reading this son's a bitch about not even 5 minutes ago. And I said we were going to review it. And when I said we're going to review it, I fucking meant we're going to review it. And so we are going to be reviewing the book 50 Famous Liners 2 by the late, great, legendary Braynard and William H. Miller. And if you look at the front cover of the book, it says right here, it says 50 Famous Liners 2, and it says Braynard, FRS, and William H. Miller. It's got this real beautiful picture of the Orinia in Sydney Harbor. And on the back, it has a drawing of the Stella Polaris and this really neat picture of the Caronia, the Green Goddess, under construction. And it names all the ships that this book talks about, and I'll read on the back here. It says right here, this is a book to delight not just ship enthusiasts, but also anyone who has ever traveled on an ocean liner, or indeed anyone who has ever dreamed of doing so. Braynard and Bill Miller, both fascinated by these stately vessels from an early age, tell the stories of 50 of the world's most beloved ships. The text is accompanied by photographs, mementos, and a drawing of each ship, plus relevant technical data. A book to read or a book to dip into. It will give hours of pleasure. And I'll tell you right now, this thing took me forever to read. Just because it's so wordy, but it is so good. And I'll tell you all the ships that's named here, and I'll tell you the dates when the ships came out. The Savannah of 1819, the Sirius of 1837, Great Western 1837, Great Britain 1844, the Baltic 1850, Scotia 1862, St. Louis 1884, Kaiser Wilhelm de Gross 1897, Republic 1903, the Manchuria 1904, the Minnesota 1904, America 1905, the Presidente Wilson 1911, the Bergen's Fjord 1913, Frederick VIII 1914, Providence 1914, the Great Northern 1915, the Resolute 1920, American Banker 1920, the Alfonso 1920, the Paris 1921, the Franconia 1923, the Gripslum 1925, the Stella Polaris 1927, the Malolo 1927, Vulcania 1928, Empress of Japan 1930, Johann van Aldebaran 1930, Morro Castle 1930, the Boraqueen 1931, Columbi 1931, Lorelei 1932, Georgic 1932, Santa Rosa 1932, Manhattan 1932, Queen of Bermuda 1933, the Dunnottar Castle 1936, the Bremen 1939. That ship originally was known as the Pasteur. The Mauritania 2 1939, the Cristobal 1939, the LaGuardia 1944, the Caronia, which is the Green Goddess 1948, the Himalaya 1949, Independence 1951, the Kungslong 1953, the Bergen's Fjord 2 1956, the Rotterdam 1959, Leonardo da Vinci 1960, Orinia 1960, and the Shalom 1964. And before I show you this book, I'm just going to slide the dust jacket off, because every time I try to open this book, the dust jacket tries to come off anyway, so. And then I'll read this little thing in the dust jacket too, but see, this is what the book looks like without the dust jacket. Nice little bound up book. Very nice. It's a very nice book. So you open it up, course, the first thing you see is all these mementos and all these little, memorabilia from all the different ships, which is really cool. And of course, like I showed you earlier, this book is signed by Frank Braynard, which I actually had been confirmed by my good friend, who is actually a really good friend of Frank's, that this is his signature. So yes. So you open it up and it goes to two introductions, one written by Frank, the other one written by Bill. And of course, and it goes right into the book, the very first ship right off the bat, the Savannah, which is the very first steam-powered ocean liner from 1819, which she was just a very small little ship. The Savannah, she was 151 feet in length, with 319 gross tons. She was just, like I said, and this is a picture of a model of her. She's just a very small vessel. But she was a very famous vessel. The fact that she was the very first steam-powered vessel. And it goes along the line, from there of other ships, like the Baltic and the Collins lines, the Scotia, the St. Louis, the Kaiser Wilhelm the Gross, which here's a really good picture of the Kaiser Wilhelm the Gross right there, the first of the German four-stackers. Very nice ship, the Republic, if you know about the Republic, this is the one that they call the Tsar's treasure ship, which sank in 1909. And there's supposedly a big, like multi-billion-dollar treasure within the sunken hull of the ship. And each ship that's in this book, they've given a very detailed summary of the history from the beginning to like the ship's career up until whatever happened to the ship. And of course they name off all the different little things. And when I first heard about the 50 Famous Liners series, I thought, when I saw there was 50 Famous Liners, 50 Famous Liners 2, 50 Famous Liners 3, so I thought if you had all three books, that they all together had 50 ships in total. No. Each book of the series has 50 ships in each book. So if you had all three books, there's 150 liners altogether. 150 ocean liners. Think about that. That blows my fucking mind. And, because, this is the first one of the series I own. I still need to get 50 Famous Liners and 50 Famous Liners 3. I think 50 Famous Liners will be the really good one, because that's going to have all the mainstream, all the famous ships. Which this book has a lot of famous ships in it too, like, the Paris. If you remember, she was known as the Aristocrat of the Atlantic. She's in here, which I was really surprised. Like, wow, the Aristocrat of the Atlantic is in this book. And the Gripslam, that's actually one of the very first diesel-powered ocean liners from the Swedish-American line, She's in here. Where she later became the Berlander and the North German Lloyd in the 50s. And, the Stella Polaris, she was basically built like a clipper, like a very high-end luxury sailing yacht. Just a very nice little vessel, which she is now, I don't know if she still is now, but this is as of in the 80s. She is a floating hotel and restaurant somewhere in the western Indo Peninsula in Japan. I don't know if she's still there or not, but of course, the Malolo, which this is the ship that made William Francis Gibbs famous. Because the fact that she got rammed by a Norwegian freighter in a similar accident that happened to the Empress of Ireland, but she did not fucking sink. So, and the Vulcania, one of the most profitable of the Italian liners, the Empress of Japan, which she became known as the Empress of Scotland later on after, Japan's attack on Cold Harbor. and then she was later reconditioned into the German cruise ship Hanseatic, later on in her life. Just like I said, each one of these little profiles of each ship names the ship and tells the history of that ship, and it's short but very detailed. And it will go over like some of the information on the ship. I'll read this one here, the Morro Castle. It lists off the gross tonnage, which for her was 11,520. Length overall, 508 feet. Width, 70 feet 9 inches. Machinery, turbo-electric twin screw. Speed, 21 knots. Capacity, 501st, 53rd. Built, Newport News Shipbuilding and Dry Dock Company, 1930. And demise, burned and scrapped in Baltimore, 1935. And if you remember the Morro Castle incident, this ship went off like a damn Roman candle. I mean, she burned from one end to the other. I do remember that, and that really horrified me. And shit like that was really horrifying to see that. And, there's just so much history here. I mean, like, one picture I really liked was this picture of the Braynard, which originally was the pastor passing the United States in 1959. That's a great picture. I'm guessing if I want to read about the United States, I'm going to have to get 50 Famous Liners 1, probably, because she's probably in it. And of course, the Mauritania 2, there's the Cristobal, which is one of the 3 Panama line ships, along with her sisters, Aiken and Panama. LaGuardia, which originally was the troop ship, W.P. Richardson, and she became later the cruise ship Emerald Seas. And of course the Caronia, the Greek goddess. There's the Independence. Watch, there's some real nice pictures of the Independence and her sister, the Constitution. But yeah, I mean, like I said, this book is just it's detailed, and it's an amazing book. It is a very amazing book. And before I end this, I'm going to read this little bit right here, real quick. It says, the publication in 1982 of Frank Braynard and Bill Miller's 50 Famous Liners was a huge success. So much that so many of their readers wrote to them suggesting other ships for inclusion in a second volume. As with the first volume, the author's most difficult task was actually selecting the vessels to include from among the many majestic liners worth covering. Here's the result of their labors, a book which includes such grand ladies of the sea as the Mauritania 2, Oriania, Empress of Japan, Santa Rosa, Great Britain, Great Western, Kaiser Wilhelm the Grosser, and Rotterdam. The separate entry for each ship restates her full history, not just concerning the glamorous days as a luxury liner, but the detailing the humbler times as a refugee or immigrant ship in the years of war in which endured by so many of the world's great ships. At the end of each ship's story, her technical data is set out in an easy-to-follow format. The book is illustrated with a fascinating selection of photographs, postcards, brochures, menus, and other souvenirs, many of which have been collected by the authors themselves. In addition to these, there is also a delightful pen and ink sketch of each liner drawn specifically for the book by Frank Braynard. Now, 50 Famous Liners 2. It is an absolutely fucking amazing book. I guarantee it. You find this book, you read it, you will not stop reading until you're done. And then you'll be thinking, I want more. That's me. I want more. So, trust me, it's a great book. You will want it. So, I hope you enjoyed the review. And if you have any questions or comments or anything, leave them down below for me and I'll get to you. And if you're new to my channel and you like what I'm doing, hit the subscribe button, turn on notifications, and then when I upload a new video, you'll know. So until next time, this is Commodore Urban saying have smooth seas and clear skies, happy sailing with you, and God bless. You have a good day now. Goodbye.